Some women cheat, others cheat, and then manipulate you into believing it's your fault. These women don't just betray you, they rewrite the truth, twist your emotions, and leave you questioning your sanity. Here are the 7 types of women who will cheat and gaslight you after. Before we break them down, hit that subscribe button and comment what city you're watching from. If you've ever caught her lying and somehow ended up apologizing, this list is going to hit deep. 1. The wounded victim. You pushed me away. What did you expect? She cheats and paints herself as the one who was abandoned. Instead of admitting fault, she blames your emotional distance, even if you were present the entire time. This type of woman has mastered the art of rewriting history. When confronted about her infidelity, she doesn't deny it. She justifies it by claiming you drove her to it. According to her narrative, she was a loving, faithful partner who was forced into the arms of another man because of your neglect, your emotional unavailability, or your failure to meet her needs. Gaslighting moves, shifts blame to you for her choices, claims she had no choice but to seek affection elsewhere, uses guilt to silence your legitimate anger about the betrayal. The psychological manipulation here is particularly cruel because it contains just enough potential truth to make you question yourself. Maybe you were working long hours. Maybe you were stressed about money. Maybe you weren't as attentive as you could have been. She takes these normal relationship challenges and weaponizes them to justify her betrayal. What makes this gaslighting so effective is how it exploits your natural desire to be a good partner. When she tells you that your actions drove her to cheat, your instinct is to examine your own behavior and take responsibility for your part in the relationship's problems. But there's a massive difference between taking responsibility for relationship issues and taking responsibility for your partner's choice to betray you. Watch for phrases like, "I felt so lonely," "You were never there for me," or "I needed someone who actually cared." She'll provide detailed examples of times you disappointed her, failed to meet her expectations, or made her feel unloved. These examples become her justification for seeking intimacy elsewhere. 2. The enlightened free spirit. You can't own people. I need to be me. She reframes betrayal as growth. Cheating is just part of her journey. And if you don't support it, you're the one with issues. This type uses spiritual, philosophical, or self-help language to justify her betrayal and make you feel like you're the one with the problem for being hurt by it. She positions her infidelity as personal growth, self-discovery, or authentic living. According to her, monogamy is an outdated social construct that prevents people from experiencing their full potential. Gaslighting moves, justifies cheating as freedom and authenticity, says you're insecure or possessive for caring about fidelity, uses spiritual or philosophical jargon to escape accountability. She might talk about expanding her consciousness, exploring her sexuality, or refusing to be confined by society's expectations. She frames your pain as evidence that you're stuck in old paradigms, too insecure to handle her enlightened approach to relationships, or too possessive to support her personal journey. The language she uses is designed to make you feel small, backwards, and emotionally undeveloped. If you object to her sleeping with other people, you're jealous. If you expect fidelity, you're controlling. If you're hurt by her betrayal, you're not evolved enough to understand her higher perspective on love and relationships. This type often surrounds herself with like-minded friends who reinforce her worldview and make you feel like you're the crazy one for expecting basic relationship boundaries. She might attend workshops on polyamory, read books about alternative relationship styles, or join communities that celebrate radical honesty and authentic living. What makes this gaslighting particularly effective is how it attacks your character and intelligence. She doesn't just justify her behavior, she makes you feel stupid and backwards for not agreeing with it. You start questioning whether your expectations are reasonable, whether your hurt feelings are valid, or whether you're just too insecure to handle her enlightened approach to love. 3. The psychologist. You're projecting. Maybe you're the one who feels guilty. She doesn't deny. She diagnoses. Every concern you raise becomes proof of your trauma, your baggage, you're overthinking. This type weaponizes therapy language and psychological concepts to avoid accountability for her actions. Instead of addressing your concerns about her behavior, she analyzes your concerns as symptoms of your own psychological issues. She turns every conversation about her potential infidelity into a therapy session about your insecurities, past traumas, or emotional problems. Gaslighting moves, weaponizes therapy language to deflect accountability, undermines your intuition by pathologizing it, makes you feel broken or damaged for suspecting obvious signs. When you point out inconsistencies in her stories, she might say you have trust issues from your past relationships. When you notice her secrecy around her phone, she'll suggest you're being paranoid because of childhood abandonment issues. When you express concern about her new male friends, she'll diagnose you with attachment anxiety or codependency. This type often has just enough knowledge of psychology to sound credible when she's diagnosing your supposed problems. She might have taken some psychology classes, read self-help books, or been in therapy herself. She uses this knowledge not for genuine insight, but as a weapon to deflect attention from her own behavior. The most damaging aspect of this manipulation is how it makes you doubt your own perceptions and instincts. When someone you love consistently tells you that your concerns are evidence of your psychological problems, you start to internalize that message. You begin to question whether your intuition is trustworthy or whether you're just projecting your own issues onto innocent situations. She might suggest that you need therapy to work on your jealousy issues or your inability to trust. Meanwhile, she continues her questionable behavior while positioning herself as the patient, understanding partner who's trying to help you overcome your psychological limitations. 4. The professional deflector. Why are you even asking me that? Don't you trust me? She answers every question with a question. She's always offended, always turning the heat back on you, never actually giving a straight answer. This type has mastered the art of deflection. She never gives direct answers to direct questions. Instead, she responds to your concerns with offense, hurt feelings, or counter-accusations that put you on the defensive. By the time the conversation is over, you're apologizing for asking questions instead of getting answers to your legitimate concerns. Gaslighting moves, accuses you of being controlling or suspicious, distracts with emotional offense and hurt feelings, avoids any direct conversation about her behavior. When you ask where she was last night, she responds with, "Why don't you trust me?" When you inquire about her new friend, she says, "I can't believe you're being so controlling." When you point out inconsistencies in her story, she gets emotional about how hurtful it is that you would question her honesty. The deflection is so consistent and skillful that you start to feel guilty for having concerns in the first place. She makes asking reasonable questions feel like accusations, expressing normal relationship needs feel like controlling behavior, and expecting basic transparency feel like paranoid surveillance. This type often escalates quickly to emotional distress when questioned. She might start crying, claim you're attacking her, or threaten to leave if you don't stop being so suspicious. The emotional intensity of her response makes you want to comfort her and apologize, even though you were just asking legitimate questions about her behavior. She's particularly skilled at making you feel like the bad guy for wanting answers. She'll say things like, "I've never given you reason not to trust me," while actively giving you reasons. "I shouldn't have to account for every minute of my day," when asking for basic communication, or, "If you don't trust me, we don't have a relationship," while behaving in untrustworthy ways. 5. The heroic martyr. "I sacrificed so much for this relationship, but you never appreciated me." She cheats, but still plays the selfless one. She reminds you of all she's done for you while hiding what she's doing behind your back. This type positions herself as the long-suffering partner who has given everything to the relationship while receiving nothing in return. When confronted about her infidelity, she doesn't focus on the betrayal. She focuses on her sacrifices, her unappreciated efforts, and how thankless her role in the relationship has been. Gaslighting moves, overemphasizes her suffering and sacrifices, makes you feel guilty for being suspicious of someone so selfless, uses her supposed martyrdom to excuse betrayal. She'll create detailed inventories of everything she's done for you: how she supported your career, how she took care of your family, how she put your needs before her own. These contributions become ammunition in her defense against accusations of infidelity. How could someone who has sacrificed so much possibly be capable of betrayal? The martyrdom narrative serves multiple purposes in her gaslighting strategy. First, it makes you feel guilty for questioning someone who has supposedly given you so much. Second, it provides justification for her betrayal. If she's been so unappreciated, doesn't she deserve some happiness? Third, it positions her infidelity as a form of self-care after years of selfless devotion. This type often keeps mental scorecards of her contributions versus yours. She remembers every favor she's done, every compromise she's made, every time she put your needs first. When her infidelity is discovered, this scorecard becomes evidence that she's earned the right to some happiness, even if it comes at your expense. She might say things like, "After everything I've done for you, you're going to accuse me of this." Or, "I've given you the best years of my life, and this is how you repay me." The implication is that her sacrifices have created a debt that somehow justifies or excuses her betrayal. The most manipulative aspect of this type is how she uses your gratitude against you. Because you genuinely appreciate what she's done for the relationship, you feel conflicted about confronting her behavior. You start to wonder if maybe you haven't been appreciative enough, if maybe you do owe her some understanding, if maybe her happiness is more important than your hurt feelings. 6. The silent punisher. Says nothing, goes cold, withdraws. She cheats and then disappears emotionally. No fights, no words, just silence that punishes you. When you finally ask what's wrong, you're the problem for bringing it up. This type uses emotional withdrawal as both a shield for her infidelity and a weapon against your attempts to address it. Instead of engaging in conversations about her behavior, she simply shuts down. She becomes cold, distant, and unresponsive, creating an atmosphere of tension and confusion that makes you desperate for any kind of connection. Gaslighting moves uses emotional withdrawal to avoid accountability, creates silence that destabilizes and punishes you, makes you chase her for answers she'll never give. The silent treatment serves multiple purposes in her manipulation strategy. First, it prevents you from getting answers about her suspicious behavior. Second, it punishes you for having concerns or asking questions. Third, it trains you to avoid bringing up issues that might upset her. Fourth, it keeps you focused on trying to reconnect with her instead of investigating her betrayal. This type creates an environment where you're walking on eggshells, trying to figure out what you did wrong and how to fix it. The silence is so uncomfortable that you start to prioritize ending it over addressing your legitimate concerns about her behavior. You find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do just to get her to engage with you again. When you finally can't stand the silence anymore and ask what's wrong, she either denies anything is wrong or blames you for being dramatic or needy for wanting communication. She might say things like, "Nothing's wrong, you're imagining things," or "I just need space, why are you being so clingy?" The most psychologically damaging aspect of this manipulation is how it makes you doubt your own perceptions of the relationship. The emotional distance is so pronounced that you know something is wrong, but her refusal to acknowledge it makes you question whether you're overreacting or being too sensitive. 7. The reverse accuser. You've been acting suspicious lately. Are you hiding something? She cheats and flips the blame. Suddenly, you're the one being interrogated. She's loud, dramatic, and strategic, because the best defense is a chaotic offense. This type doesn't just deflect accusations, she turns them completely around. When you start to suspect her infidelity, she preemptively accuses you of the same behavior. She becomes hypervigilant about your activities, questions your whereabouts, and acts suspicious of your every move. The goal is to keep you so busy defending yourself that you never get the chance to investigate her. Gaslighting moves projects her guilt onto you through false accusations, keeps you distracted with drama and chaos, accuses you first to protect her secret and discredit future accusations. The reverse accusation serves multiple strategic purposes. First, it puts you on the defensive, making you focus on proving your innocence instead of investigating her behavior. Second, it creates reasonable doubt if your accusations ever become public. After all, she was the first one to express concerns about cheating in the relationship. Third, it allows her to justify increased surveillance of your activities while maintaining her own secrecy. This type often becomes dramatically upset about imaginary betrayals on your part. She might go through your phone, question your coworkers, or create elaborate scenarios about your supposed infidelity. The accusations are often specific and detailed, making them feel more credible and putting you in the position of having to provide extensive proof of your innocence. She might say things like, "I saw the way you looked at that waitress. Why didn't you answer my text immediately?" Or, "I don't believe you were really at work that late." These accusations seem to come out of nowhere and escalate quickly, creating chaos and confusion that distracts from her own questionable behavior. The most effective aspect of this manipulation is how it exploits your desire to be trusted and to trust. When someone you love accuses you of betrayal, your natural instinct is to work harder to prove your faithfulness and rebuild their trust. This keeps you focused on managing her emotions and proving your innocence instead of investigating the real betrayal that's happening. She often uses tears, anger, and emotional breakdowns to sell her accusations. The intensity of her emotions makes her claims feel more credible and makes you feel guilty for doubting someone who seems so genuinely hurt by your supposed betrayal. This type also plants seeds of doubt about your own behavior. Even though you know you're innocent, her constant accusations make you start to question whether you've done something wrong, whether your interactions with others could be misinterpreted, or whether you're somehow responsible for her suspicions.